The vast emptiness of space stretched before Admiral James Thorne as he stood on the bridge of the UES Defender. Stars twinkled against the black canvas like distant beacons, indifferent to the troubles of the species that sailed between them. "Sir, we've detected something unusual in Sector 7, reported Lieutenant Mills from her scanning station. It's big, metallic, and doesn't match any known Volturian designs." Thorne stroked his gray beard, eyes narrowing. "Show me." The main display flickered to life, revealing a massive battle-scarred hull drifting silently through the void. Despite obvious damage from weapons fire and centuries of micrometeor impacts, the outline was unmistakable to anyone who had studied human military history. "That's one of ours," Thorne whispered, unable to hide the awe in his voice. "A Thunderchild-class warship. They were all thought destroyed during the last stand at Proxima." Commander Wilson stepped forward, his face a mask of confusion. "Sir, that's impossible. That battle was over 100 years ago, before the Exodus. And yet there it is," Thorne replied, pointing at the screen. "A ghost from humanity's darkest hour." The bridge fell silent as the crew processed what they were seeing. A relic from the war that had nearly ended human civilization, forcing their ancestors to flee Earth and rebuild among the stars. "Prepare a boarding team," Thorne ordered. "I want to know how this ship survived and what condition it's in." "Admiral," Wilson protested, "our mission is to patrol the border. The Volturians have been increasingly aggressive lately. We can't afford to be distracted by an ancient wreck." Thorne turned to his second-in-command, blue eyes sharp with purpose. "That ancient wreck was once the pride of Earth's fleet. If there's even a slight chance we can recover any of its technology, we need to take it." He gestured toward the stars beyond their viewport. "The Volturians push because they believe they're superior, because they think we're weak." 4 hours later, Thorne received a transmission from the alien diplomatic channel. The haughty face of Ambassador Drek, chief representative of the Volturian Alliance, filled the screen. "Admiral Thorne," the alien said, mandibles clicking with barely concealed amusement, "our sensors have detected your archaeological expedition. This is a military recovery operation in human territory." Thorne replied evenly. "It's none of your concern." Drek's compound eyes gleamed. "We've scanned your discovery, a primitive warship from your species' pre-FTL era. Such technology is barely more advanced than the museum pieces our young study in school." "Then you have nothing to worry about," Thorne said. The ambassador's mandibles spread in what humans had learned was the Volturian equivalent of a dismissive smile. "Indeed. Invest your resources in this relic if you wish. Perhaps it will distract you while the Alliance continues its rightful expansion." After the transmission ended, Thorne received a report from the boarding team. Against all odds, the ship's core systems remained intact beneath layers of emergency shielding. The vessel, officially designated UES Thunderchild, had been preserved in a low-power state by its emergency protocols for decades. "We need someone who understands this technology," Wilson said, reviewing the initial findings. Thorne nodded. "Contact Earth Command. Tell them I need Captain Van Reed immediately." The military historian. "Sir, he's also one of the best engineers we have," Thorne finished, "and the only person alive who wrote his thesis on Thunderchild-class weapon systems." 3 days later, Captain Reed arrived on a fast transport. His eyes widened as he boarded the ancient warship for the first time, running his hand along the cool metal of its interior walls. "My God," he whispered, "it's really her, the Thunderchild herself." He turned to Thorne with a smile breaking across his face. "Admiral, do you have any idea what we found?" "A chance," Thorne replied simply. "A chance to show the Volturians that humanity's past still has teeth." Captain Reed moved with purpose through the silent corridors of the Thunderchild. His handlight cast long shadows across walls that hadn't felt human footsteps in a century. Behind him followed his small team. Engineer Alex Torres, Systems Specialist Dana Patel, and Security Officer Marcus Webb. "Hard to believe she's still in one piece," Torres said, running a scanner along a junction box. "Look at these power conduits. They're nothing like what we use now." Reed nodded. "The Thunderchild was built during the resource wars, before we standardized our technology. Each of these ships was unique, part experiment, part desperate measure." They reached the bridge, sealed behind heavy blast doors that groaned in protest as the team forced them open. Inside, dust-covered consoles stretched before a massive view screen, now dark and lifeless. "This is where history happened," Reed said quietly. Captain Nolan and her crew held off 3 enemy battlecruisers while the civilian transports escaped. Everyone thought the ship was destroyed in that final stand. Patel moved to the captain's chair, brushing away dust to reveal the ship's motto etched into the armrest. "Through darkness, thunder brings light. Systems are in emergency hibernation," she reported after connecting her diagnostic tools. "But there's still power in the secondary cells. This ship wasn't destroyed. It was abandoned after sustaining critical damage, but its automated systems kept it alive." Reed's eyes gleamed. "Then we can wake it up." For 2 weeks, they worked tirelessly, cataloging systems and assessing damage. The main reactor was intact but dormant. Weapons systems showed extensive damage, but operated on principles modern engineers had abandoned generations ago. Meanwhile, across the sector, the Volturian diplomatic delegation was making its opinions known at the Galactic Council. High Commander Vox stood before the assembled representatives, his tall, insectoid form dominating the speaking platform. Behind him, a holographic image of the Thunderchild rotated slowly. "Esteemed members of the Council," his translator broadcast, "the human delegation wishes us to believe their military remains strong, yet they celebrate finding this museum piece." Clicking laughter rippled through the Volturian contingent. "Their excitement over this primitive vessel only confirms what we have long suspected. Humanity's technology has reached its limit." The human ambassador rose to object, but Vox continued. "Our scans show weapon systems that would barely scratch modern shielding, propulsion that our smallest scout ships would outpace, and armor that our standard weapons could penetrate with ease." Back aboard the Thunderchild, Reed received the recording of Vox's speech with a tight smile. "Let them laugh," he told Admiral Thorne during their daily briefing. "They're scanning the obvious systems, but they're missing what's beneath." "Which is?" Thorne prompted. Reed gestured to Torres, who activated a holographic display showing a sealed section deep within the ship's core. "We found this yesterday," Torres explained. "A compartment shielded from all external scans, with its own independent power supply. According to the ship's partial records, it contains experimental systems that were classified beyond top secret." "Why keep them secret from our own people?" Thorne asked. "Because they were dangerous," Reed replied simply. "Too unpredictable for mass production." But the Thunderchild was a test bed for technologies deemed too risky for standard deployment. The briefing was interrupted by an emergency communication. Lieutenant Mills appeared on screen, her expression grim. "Admiral, 6 Volturian warships just crossed into the neutral zone. They're conducting exercises just beyond our colony on New Haven." Thorne's face hardened. "A show of force. They're broadcasting on open channels," Mills added, "saying their modern fleet is demonstrating maneuvers that would be educational for collectors of ancient vessels." Reed and Thorne exchanged looks. The message was clear. The Volturians were openly mocking humanity's interest in the Thunderchild. "How soon can we get this ship operational?" Thorne asked quietly. Reed considered. "The primary systems, maybe 3 weeks. But to access whatever's in that sealed compartment, I can't say." "Work faster," Thorne ordered. "I have a feeling we're going to need every advantage we can get. And soon." Torres wiped sweat from her brow as she worked on the sealed compartment deep within the Thunderchild's belly. 3 days of cutting, scanning, and careful manipulation had finally yielded results. The massive door, hidden behind false bulkheads and protected by security measures long forgotten, began to slide open with a deep, resonant groan. "Captain Reed," she called into her communicator. "You're going to want to see this." Reed arrived minutes later, slightly out of breath from rushing through the ship's corridors. "You got it open?" Torres nodded, her face illuminated by the soft blue glow emanating from the chamber. "And it's not what any of us expected." They stepped inside together. The room was perfectly preserved, as if sealed yesterday rather than a century ago. At its center stood a power core, unlike anything in the modern fleet. A swirling, contained mass of energy that pulsed with life despite its age. "Is that?" Reed began. "A quantum-fold reactor," Torres finished, her voice hushed with awe. "I've only read theoretical papers about these. They were deemed too volatile for mass production." Reed circled the core slowly. "The military abandoned this technology because 1 in every 50 experienced cascade failures. Too risky when safer alternatives existed." "Safer, yes," Torres replied, running her scanner over the gently pulsing core, "but far less powerful. This single reactor could power 3 modern warships, and that's not all." She led Reed to a secondary chamber where massive, oddly shaped weapons components lay in organized rows. "Graviton lance emitters," she explained. "They were experimental even at the time of the last stand. They don't just damage targets, they temporarily distort the local space-time around the impact point." Reed's eyes widened. No wonder these technologies were classified. "They violate half the safety protocols we've developed since the Exodus." "Because they're dangerous," Torres agreed, "but also because they're powerful in ways our current technology isn't. Modern shields are designed to disperse energy weapons or deflect kinetic projectiles. These weapons operate on completely different principles." Back on the bridge, Patel had made her own discovery. "Captain, I've accessed the ship's tactical systems. The targeting computers use quantum entanglement to track targets." "Meaning?" Reed asked. "Meaning the Volturian stealth technology wouldn't work against it. Their ships bend light and absorb sensor pings, but they can't hide from quantum entanglement targeting." Reed's communicator chirped. Admiral Thorne's voice came through, tense and urgent. "Reed, how's progress?" "The situation is escalating. The Volturians have doubled their exercise fleet at the New Haven border. We've made significant breakthroughs. Admiral, this ship has capabilities we never imagined. If we can restore main power, the Thunderchild could be operational within days, not weeks." "Make it happen," Thorne ordered. "The diplomatic channels are heating up. Commander Vox just delivered what amounts to an ultimatum at the Council. Either we acknowledge Volturian supremacy in the disputed sectors, or they'll demonstrate their technological superiority in ways we primitive species will understand." Reed felt cold anger settling in his stomach. "They're planning something." "We believe so. And they're still broadcasting mocking messages about our archaeological distraction. They think we're wasting resources on the Thunderchild while they prepare for military action." Later that night, Reed stood alone on the bridge of the ancient warship. He placed his hand on the captain's chair, imagining the brave souls who had fought here in humanity's darkest hour. "They think you're just a relic," he whispered to the ship. "A distraction. They have no idea what you really are." His communicator beeped with a priority message from Webb, who was stationed in the engineering section. "Captain," the security officer reported, excitement clear in his voice. "Torres has done it. She's found a way to safely initialize the quantum-fold reactor. We can bring main power online." Reed smiled in the darkness of the bridge. "Do it. It's time to wake up this old warrior." Throughout the massive hull of the Thunderchild, dormant systems began to hum with new life. Deep in its heart, the experimental reactor spun faster, building power that hadn't flowed through the ship's veins for 100 years. The Relic was awakening. Alarms blared across the UES Defender's Bridge as tactical displays flashed red. Admiral Thorne stared at the incoming data with growing horror. "Confirm this," he ordered, voice tight with controlled fury. Lieutenant Mills worked her console with quick precision. "Confirmed, sir." A Volturian battle group has crossed into New Haven's orbit. 8 warships, including their dreadnought Inevitable Conquest. They've disabled the colony's orbital defense platforms without warning. Casualties. Unknown, but the colony reports heavy bombardment of their defense centers. Civilian areas have not been targeted. Yet. Thorn slammed his fist on the armrest. This isn't an exercise or a demonstration. It's an attack. He turned to his communications officer. Alert Earth Command. Order all available ships to converge on New Haven. Sir, even at maximum speed, the nearest response fleet won't arrive for 6 hours. The Admiral's face darkened. The colony won't last 6 hours. He opened a secure channel to the Thunderchild. Reed, what's your status? Captain Reed's voice came through, accompanied by the background noise of a ship coming to life. We've restored main power and basic maneuvering. Weapon systems are at 60% capacity. Life support and artificial gravity are stable. Can she fly? Thorn asked bluntly. There was a pause. Technically, yes. But we've barely tested the propulsion system. The quantum fold reactor is operational but not fully calibrated. I wouldn't recommend. The Volturians are attacking New Haven. Thorn cut in. Right now. They've disabled the orbital defenses and are hitting ground targets. Silence fell on the channel. When Reed spoke again, his voice had changed. How long until reinforcements arrive? Too long. 6 hours minimum. We're 4 hours from New Haven at standard speed, Reed said, calculating rapidly. But if we push the fold reactor beyond recommended limits. Torres's voice interrupted in the background. Captain, that could tear the ship apart. We haven't properly tested the containment fields. But it's theoretically possible. Reed pressed. Theoretically, Torres admitted reluctantly. Thorn cut through their debate. Reed, listen to me. I'm sending you official orders to remain in position. The Thunderchild is too valuable to risk in its current state. There was a long pause before Reed responded. Understood, Admiral. Orders received. The channel closed, and Commander Wilson looked at Thorn in confusion. Sir, why are we ordering them to stand down? They're the only asset close enough to help. Thorn met his second-in-command's gaze steadily. Because when Reed disobeys that order, and he will, I want there to be a clear record that he acted against instructions. The political fallout will land on him, not Earth Command. Wilson's eyes widened in understanding. You're giving him cover to act. I'm giving humanity a chance. Thorn corrected softly. Aboard the Thunderchild, Reed stared at the orders displayed on his screen. Around him, the bridge hummed with activity as his small crew worked to bring ancient systems fully online. Torres, what's your assessment? He asked without looking up. Can we reach New Haven in time to make a difference? The engineer hesitated. The fold reactor can be pushed to 130% of rated capacity. That would cut our travel time to under an hour, but the stress on the ship would be enormous. And if we arrive, can we fight? Reed continued. Webb stepped forward from his security station. The main weapons are online, but targeting systems are still being calibrated. Shields are at 40% capacity. Reed looked around at his crew. Just 12 people operating a warship designed for hundreds. Each face showed determination mixed with fear. Admiral Thorn ordered us to stay put, he said clearly, making sure everyone heard. He believes the risk is too great. He paused, letting his next words hang in the air. I disagree. Patil spoke up from the communications station. New Haven has 3 million colonists, Captain. My family. She couldn't finish. Reed nodded grimly. Plot a course for New Haven. Maximum speed. He settled into the captain's chair, feeling its contours adjust to his form. Let's show the Volturians what this relic can do. The Thunderchild's engines flared to life, pulsing with blue-white energy that hadn't been seen in a century. The ancient warship turned slowly, then accelerated into the darkness, leaving a trail of distorted spacetime in its wake. In the void between stars, a forgotten predator began its hunt. The quantum-fold reactor throbbed at the heart of the Thunderchild, its blue-white energy pulsing through ancient conduits never designed to handle such power. Captain Reed gripped the command chair as the ship shuddered around him. Reactor at 140%. Torres reported, her voice tight with tension. Hull integrity holding at 86%. Time to New Haven. Reed asked. 38 minutes, Patil answered from navigation. The fold effect is working better than expected. We're bending space at nearly twice the rate of modern drives. Reed nodded, his eyes fixed on the main display where tactical data streamed in from New Haven's distress beacons. The Vulturian fleet had formed a precise attack formation, methodically destroying military targets while their dreadnought, inevitable conquest, maintained high orbit. They're being careful, Webb observed. Surgical strikes on defense centers, communication hubs, and power stations. They want to take the colony intact. That's why we still have time, Reed said. Status of weapons. Graviton lances charging at 63%. Torres replied. The ship's original railguns are operational but limited to 70% power. Point defense systems online. The ship lurched suddenly, throwing crew members against their consoles. Reactor fluctuation. Torres shouted. Containment field stress increasing. The lights dimmed momentarily as energy diverted to stabilize the ancient power source. Reed felt sweat trickle down his back despite the cool air. Options, he asked calmly. Torres worked furiously at her station. We can reduce power to 80%, which would extend our arrival time but reduce the risk of catastrophic failure. Reed considered for only a moment. No, we maintain course and speed. Reroute power from non-essential systems to strengthen containment fields. That's everything except life support and engines, Torres warned. Do it, Reed ordered. We're no good to New Haven if we don't get there in time. In the darkness of space, the Thunderchild blazed like a comet, its engines leaving a trail of distorted reality as it pushed the boundaries of physics. Inside, the small crew worked in dim emergency lighting, the ship's groans and tremors a constant reminder of the forces they were challenging. Meanwhile, in orbit around New Haven, Commander Vox stood on the bridge of the inevitable conquest, mandibles clicking in satisfaction as he watched the colony's defenses crumble. Another pathetic display from the humans, he remarked to his second-in-command. Their technology fails them when facing superior forces. Commander, his sensor officer interrupted, we're detecting an unusual spatial distortion approaching at high speed. Vox turned, compound eyes narrowing. Identify. Unable to classify precisely, but it appears to be a ship, human design, but the energy signature doesn't match any known vessel in their fleet. The tactical display updated, showing the approaching object. Vox's mandibles twitched in what humans would recognize as amusement. It's the Relic, he said, recognizing the silhouette. They've managed to start its engines. His bridge crew clicked in laughter, the sound echoing off the sleek walls of the advanced warship. A single obsolete vessel. Vox's second-in-command asked incredulously, against our battle group. They must be desperate indeed, Vox agreed. Prepare a special welcome. I want this broadcast to all Vulturian worlds. Show them what happens when humans place their hopes in ancient technology. As the Thunderchild approached New Haven's orbit, Reed ordered battle stations. The ship's systems, sensing combat preparations, activated protocols dormant for a century. Throughout the massive vessel, weapons ports opened, armor plates shifted to protective configurations, and targeting computers hummed to life. We're being scanned by the Vulturian fleet, Patil reported. They're broadcasting on open channels. They're mocking us, or calling us brave archaeologists and museum curators. Reed's lips curved in a tight smile. Let them laugh. Webb, are the graviton lenses ready? Fully charged, Captain. Targeting systems locked on the Vulturian support ships. Good. Torres, how's our reactor? The engineer looked up from her station, eyes shining in the blue light of her console. Stable for now. The old girl wants to fight, Captain. I can feel it. Reed nodded, feeling the same connection to the ship, a vessel built when humanity faced extinction, designed to defy impossible odds. New Haven Colony, this is Captain Reed aboard the UES Thunderchild, he broadcast. Help has arrived. On the colony below, millions looked to the sky as an ancient guardian entered orbit, its hull scarred by battles long past, but its heart burning with newfound purpose. The Relic had awakened. The Thunderchild emerged from its final space fold directly into New Haven's orbit, materializing like a ghost between the colony and the Volturian fleet. Its sudden appearance sent ripples of surprise through the enemy formation. Volturian vessels, this is Captain Reed of the UES Thunderchild. Reed transmitted on all frequencies. Cease your attack on New Haven immediately and withdraw from human territory. Commander Vox's laughter echoed through the bridge speakers. The museum piece speaks. Tell me, human, did you bring this antique to surrender it for our collection? Reed's jaw tightened. Final warning, Commander. Your bravery is noted, if misplaced, Vox replied. Allow me to educate you on modern warfare. Two Volturian cruisers broke formation, accelerating toward the Thunderchild with weapons charging. Brilliant beams of energy lashed out, striking the ancient warship directly. Direct hits. Webb called out. Shield holding at. Wait. He stared at his readings in disbelief. The energy weapons are being absorbed by the hull plating. Reed smiled grimly. Old technology, but not obsolete. The Thunderchild's armor uses crystalline matrices that convert energy attacks into power. Fire the portside railguns. The ship shuddered as massive electromagnetic accelerators hurled projectiles at speeds approaching light. The antiquated weapons struck the first Volturian cruiser with devastating effect, tearing through shields calibrated to deflect energy weapons, not physical projectiles moving at relativistic speeds. How is this possible? Vox demanded as damage reports flooded his command center. Their weapons should barely scratch our shields. Unknown, Commander, his science officer replied. Their projectiles are somehow altering their mass as they accelerate, multiplying their impact force exponentially. Reed watched the tactical display as the damaged Volturian cruiser veered away, trailing atmosphere and debris. Target their dreadnought's weapon arrays with graviton lances. Firing solution. Locked. Webb confirmed. Fire. The Thunderchild's experimental weapons discharge, sending invisible waves of distorted gravity toward the inevitable conquest. Where they struck, space itself seemed to ripple and fold. Metal twisted and warped as if being crushed by an invisible hand. By the ancestors. Torres whispered, watching the effects on their monitors. The graviton lances are creating localized gravity, wells thousands of times stronger than we predicted. 3 more Volturian ships converged on the Thunderchild, unleashing a barrage that would have vaporized any modern human vessel. The ancient warship's hull glowed red with absorbed energy, but held. Reactor status. Reed demanded as the ship rocked under the assault. 160% and climbing. Torres shouted back, amazement in her voice. The attack is feeding power back into our systems through the absorption matrices. Reed understood now why these technologies had been abandoned. They were unpredictable, dangerous, and utterly devastating. Redirect excess power to the main drive. Bring us alongside the dreadnought. Captain, at this range their point defenses will tear us apart. Patel warned. They would, Reed agreed, if they could target us properly. Engage the quantum displacement field. The Thunderchild shimmered, its outline becoming blurred and indistinct as it activated another forgotten technology. To Volturian sensors, the ship seemed to be in multiple locations simultaneously, making precise targeting impossible. Commander Vox watched in growing horror as the ancient human vessel performed maneuvers his tacticians had deemed impossible, shrugging off attacks that should have destroyed it instantly. What manner of ship is this? He demanded. The kind your people forgot existed, Reed answered, having intercepted the transmission. The kind built when survival, not safety, was our priority. The Thunderchild positioned itself directly above the inevitable conquest, its weapons aligned with the Volturian flagship's spine. All power to graviton lances, Reed ordered. Target their central command and propulsion systems. The lances fired, punching through the dreadnought's advanced shields as if they were mist. Gravity itself became a weapon, crushing and twisting vital systems beyond recognition. Across New Haven, colonists watched in awe as the massive alien flagship listed in orbit, its lights flickering and dying. The remaining Volturian vessels hesitated, then began to pull back, unwilling to face the wrath of the ancient warship. "This is impossible." Vox's transmission came through, distorted by damage to his communication systems. "Your technology is obsolete." "No," Reed corrected him, "just forgotten." And now remembered. As the Volturian fleet retreated in disarray, cheers erupted from the colony below. The Relic, once mocked and dismissed, now floated victorious among the stars, its old metal hull gleaming in New Haven's sunlight. 3 months after the Battle of New Haven, the Thunderchild floated in Earth's orbital shipyard, surrounded by a flurry of activity. Engineers and scientists swarmed over its hull, studying every system and component with reverent attention. Captain Reed stood beside Admiral Thorne in the observation deck, watching the work unfold. "They've been at it day and night," Thorne remarked. "Every weapons manufacturer, drive designer, and systems engineer in the United Earth Fleet has requested access." Reed nodded. "Some of them look like children opening presents. The quantum fold reactor alone has rewritten half our understanding of power generation. And the absorption armor has already been adapted for our newest destroyer class," Thorne added. "The Volturians won't find us such easy targets next time." Below them, a shuttle docked with the ancient warship, delivering yet another team of specialists eager to unlock its secrets. The Thunderchild had become the center of a technological renaissance, its forgotten innovations sparking a new era of human advancement. "The diplomatic situation has shifted dramatically," Thorne continued. "The Volturian Alliance has withdrawn their requests for territory concessions. Their ambassador actually used the word respect in our last meeting." Reed smiled slightly. "Amazing what one old warship can accomplish." "Not the ship," Thorne corrected. "The people who had the vision to see its potential. Your disobedience of my direct order is noted in your file. By the way, right below my commendation, I hope." Naturally. Their conversation was interrupted by Taurus, who approached with a tablet displaying new schematics. "Captain, Admiral," she greeted them, excitement evident in her voice. "We've completed the initial designs for the new Thunderchild-class vessels." She activated a holographic display showing a sleek warship that echoed the lines of the original Thunderchild while incorporating modern aesthetics. 5 new ships built around the principles we discovered," she explained. "The quantum fold reactors are more stable in this iteration, with better containment fields. The graviton lances have been refined for precision targeting, and the absorption armor covers twice the surface area." Thorne studied the design with approval. "How soon until the first one launches?" 6 months for the UES Thunder's Hair," Torres replied. "The others will follow 1 month apart." Reed felt a surge of pride looking at the design. "Have the Volturians detected this project yet?" "Oh yes," Thorne said with a rare smile. "Their long-range sensors have picked up enough to make them nervous. Ambassador Drek has suddenly become very interested in negotiating a mutual defense treaty." In the observation lounge of the diplomatic station orbiting Mars, those negotiations were already underway. Ambassador Drek sat across from Earth's diplomatic team, his posture notably less arrogant than in previous meetings. "The Alliance recognizes that our previous assessment of human technological capabilities may have been incomplete," he stated carefully. Earth's chief negotiator nodded. "We appreciate the acknowledgement, Ambassador. We hope this marks the beginning of a more respectful relationship between our peoples." "Indeed," Drek agreed, eyeing the viewport where, in the distance, The silhouette of the Thunderchild could just be made out against Earth's blue backdrop. The incident at New Haven has prompted much discussion among our military leadership. What he didn't say, what pride wouldn't allow, was that the Volturian Military Council was in turmoil, its members demanding answers for how a single ancient human vessel had defeated their most advanced battle group. 1 month later, Captain Reed stood on the bridge of the fully restored and upgraded Thunderchild. The ship hummed with power, its systems a perfect blend of rediscovered genius and modern refinement. All systems operational, Captain. Torres reported from her new position as chief engineer. The old girl's better than ever. Reed settled into the command chair that now bore his name beneath that of Captain Nolan, the ship's original commander. Fleet Command signals ready for departure, Patil announced from communications. Through the view screen, Reed could see the first of the new Thunderchild-class vessels, Thunder's Hair, taking position alongside them. Beyond it stretched the stars, no longer a realm where humans were considered technological inferiors. Signal all ships, Reed ordered. The Thunderchild Legacy Fleet is ready to begin its maiden patrol. As the ships accelerated away from Earth, their quantum drives leaving shimmering trails through the darkness, Reed thought about how the past had saved their future. A forgotten relic, once mocked by those who considered themselves superior, had changed the course of history. The Thunderchild had not just been awakened, it had awakened humanity's spirit of innovation, reminding them that sometimes the old ways still had much to teach the new. In the vastness of space, the thunder rolled once more.